I don't know if you know yet, but my favorite show in the world is Law & Order SVU. I have rewatched this show in full 5 times already during the course of this crazy year because it's the only thing that brings me peace and calm, even though it's a cop show tackling sexually motivated crimes like rape, assault, and domestic violence. I did want some change, so I decided to watch a new, to me, cop show called The Wire. Now, I have heard of The Wire for a long time now, and I wanted to see the hype behind it. So for the last 2 weeks, I have ripped through all 5 seasons of the show, and holy moly, it is brilliant, captivating, funny as hell, thought-provoking. It is serial television at its finest. One of the best things about the show is the characters. The characterization works so well. It works with teachers, drug dealers, cops, students, dock workers, and politicians. A certain character for each setting. So, if you read the title of this video, I will be going through my top 10 characters from The Wire. Warning, there will be spoilers, and this is completely my opinion. Please don't at me in the comments. Starting at number 10 is Ellis Carver. Now, Ellis Carver is a cop who started out in narcotics, and then he worked his way up through the system. So once he was in narcotics, he became in the special crimes unit, even though it wasn't called that in the first season. So then he took the sergeant's exam at the end of the year. Then he got promoted. Then he stayed in major crimes for the second season. Then in season 3, he went to a district. So he's pretty much been in the Western District, like pretty much after season 3. And what I like about Ellis Carver is that he's a cop of the people. So basically he's all about like the community when it comes to a cop and actually like trying to do the best when it comes to policing in communities, especially the ones in Baltimore, which don't give a shit about him. But he's really funny. He's so funny. Like sometimes he'll just like completely act stupid just to do it and fuck with people. But then also when he is serious, he is serious. And that's something that I really liked about his character development, because like once he actually got serious about the standing of his job, you know, not only does he become lieutenant by the end of the show, which makes total sense, he has grown as a person. Like he came from like an immature like bro to a man who was a lieutenant. So I like Ellis Carver. I think honestly his standout moment is when he disciplined all the other cops in his district because they were like acting a fool and causing shit, and he really doubled down on his discipline. And I think that was a really good character moment in my opinion. Number 9 is D'Angelo Barksdale. So D'Angelo Barksdale is Avon Barksdale's nephew, and in season 1 he literally gets off of a murder crime because, you know, threatening witnesses and shit. And then he goes back to working for the organization, but he kind of gets demoted. So he's working in the yard. I forget what it's called, but like pretty much in the project yard, not at the towers, which is supposed to be a little bit more upscale. And so basically his journey is like trying to move up in the organization, trying to gain trust from his uncle, from Stringer Bell. And like during this process, you can tell that he's actually starting to feel sympathy for the crimes that he's committed. And, you know, he gets a girlfriend. Her name is Chardine. But then Chardine drops him when she realizes that he didn't really do anything in her friend's death. And then D'Angelo starts to get suspicious of like ill intentions. And then he forms a relationship with Wallace, a corner boy who honestly kind of goes through a bout of depression after he had a hand of getting someone killed. And he understands like how vulnerable he is. And, you know, once Wallace, you know, gets killed by Stringer Bell, D'Angelo was close to flipping. And then his mom came in and literally told him to like take the years because when they all got taken down. But then you can just tell that like when he was in jail, he was actively trying to turn his life around, but then it got cut short because of Stringer Bell and his greedy ass. But D'Angelo as a character is very meticulous. He's caring. He's humorous. He's not really like a hilarious guy, but he has some good moments, and you can tell that he's just a genuine person, even though he's a drug dealer. But he actually takes the time to like teach his youngins like how to run the game Like, I think one of the best standout moments is when he's teaching Wallace and Bodhi about chess. Like, they're playing checkers on a chessboard, and then he's just like, no, you gotta play chess, which is a different game. You know, and he basically breaks it down and the systems between them and the cops. And I thought that was a really good standout moment. And it was really sad to see D'Angelo get his life cut short, because you can definitely see that he was going to make some changes. Number 8 is Bunny Colvin. So Bunny Colvin is introduced in season 3? I think season 3. Yeah, season 3. Because in season 3, he does the craziest shit. He legalizes drugs. And Bunny was really reaching and really ambitious with this one. But Bunny Colvin is essentially a major in the Western District. And he is like the champion of community policing. So basically what he tries to do is he wants to make a community a better place. And what he does is that he legalizes drugs. He gives zones for the drug dealers to go. And basically they leave him alone. And the police are only really there as a buffer, just to make sure no one, dies from violence. But if they want to go get drugs, do whatever, then he's going to leave them be. And for a while, the community actually thrived. So, it was like, honestly, kind of a double-edged sword. Like, honestly, in theory, it doesn't sound like a bad idea, but at the same time, like, it's just too good to be true. And basically what happens is that once this gets found out, the police department is trying so hard how to cover it up and how to work within it or whatever. So basically, that ends. Bunny gets fired, essentially. And then he goes to he goes to the school system. And in the school system, which I think he has a little bit more of a better impact, he takes a group of kids who are a little bit more troubled and tries to get their way of mind and trying to put them in a classroom environment and teaching them, separately from everyone else. And that's where he grows a special relationship with Naaman, who was Weebei's son. And I thought that was a really good thing too, because first of all, I think Bunny is just such a cool nickname. Like, you don't see a guy being called Bunny and everyone just calls him Bunny like it's nothing. And it's just like, oh, it's kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie too, he also reminds me of Raymond Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So I really like Bunny Colvin. I just think I think he was just probably far ahead of his time, in my opinion. And by the end of the series, he actually has adopted Naaman, and he's just striving. He's living his life. So that's all I really gotta say about him. Number 7 is Cedric Daniels. Cedric Daniels has been a part of this whole series, and he also had a little bit of mini climb of himself. So basically, he was the lieutenant of narcotics, and once what's his face? I can't remember his name. What's the lead dude's name? Jimmy. Oh my god, that's so... Honestly, yeah, this is a complete side note. I think this is probably the second show I've watched where I'm actually just not really... I don't care for the main character. He's funny, but, all the other characters are better than him. And the first show of that is Orange is the New Black. Piper was my favorite my first season, but then after that, Pusey for life, hashtag RIP Pusey. But also, all the other characters are just so much better than her. Sorry about my random tangent. But Cedric Daniels pretty much was a lieutenant in narcotics, and then he moved to major crimes, and then he pretty much just climbed up the ladder. But the thing is, the way that he did it is that he actually has morals, and he actually has integrity, which, something that most of the cops in this department doesn't have. So it's kind of hard to be in a system that you want to reform, and everyone else wants to reform, quote unquote, but it really doesn't. So after a while, he makes his own major crimes unit, and he does a good job leading. He's a good cop. He is smart. He is strategic, and he's just really cool. And then he also had a relationship with Rhonda Pearlman, which just worked. Her and Jimmy obviously did not work, but for some reason they do, and I love that. And then that's the whole thing with his wife, because him and his wife are obviously working with politics, and they get separated, but you can tell that they do have a deep love and a friendship too. They don't really have any hard feelings. He goes to her for advice, which I'm just okay, I like that, And You could just tell that he's just a good man in a world where people are very gray. And it's unfortunate because he makes it all the way to commissioner. And probably after like a couple months, he's like, you know, fuck this shit, I'm out. And left. So it's just kind of sad because it's just like he could have done a lot. Number 6 is Dennis Cutty Wise. Now, at the start of season 3, I'm pretty sure it's season 3 or it's season 4. It's season 4. So in season 4, the character of Cutty is introduced, and he used to be a former lieutenant in Avon Barksdale's organization back in the 90s, and then he caught a charge, and he was in jail for about 12 or 13 years. So then he comes out, and he tries to get back in the game. So he gets back in the game, you know, he's learning or whatever, and he realizes that, like, these young people are just doing shit different. And, you know, he tries to assimilate and tries to get back into it, but then after he did not kill a kid, after he stole from them or something, he realizes that he just doesn't have the stomach for it anymore. And he's just like, you know, I just gotta leave. I can't do this. And Avon was like, you know what? Yeah, if you can't, I'm not gonna, you know, you're one of mine. The day I'll take care of you or whatever. So basically he lets him go. It's like weird because it's like a job, even though they're drug dealers. But basically Cutty, once he leaves, is just trying to find his way in a world where he doesn't know, you know, because he's been in jail for over a decade. So basically starts mowing with this guy, and he's mowing with him doing lawn work. But then, you know, like the guy who his employer is like, you know what you should do? You should just look for something for you. Like, look for something that fulfills for you. And he was also a boxer in the day. So he's like, you know what? I want to start a boxing club, and I want to get these kids off the street and do something valuable for their lives. So that's what he does. He starts a gym, and at first, you know, it's kind of shitty. It's very shitty. Then he goes to Avon and asks for money. And, you know, since he, like, didn't really rat on him, didn't really tell the cops what he was doing, like, he's just like, you know what, I'm living my life. He helps him. And then he slowly starts to build his, you know, his boxing club up. And I think that's what I like about Cutty is that he's a man who knows that he is done. Like, his time is up with certain things, like, obviously with this, like, drug lifestyle. And he's just like, I just want more for myself. And I can appreciate that. And he's just, like, also, he's very hot. I'm not gonna lie. But he is just a good role model. And you can just tell that, like, if D'Angelo made it to the end of his sentence, he would be Cutty, honestly. And it's just kind of sad because obviously D'Angelo died. But Cutty is just a good role model, and I really enjoyed him on the show. Number 5 is Rhonda Pearlman. Now, Rhonda Pearlman is a prosecutor in the Baltimore's office, and basically her role is that she works with narcotics, and that's like her standing. So she does all like the wiretaps, all the search warrants, all that. It goes through her. And she has a close relationship with the major crimes unit because that's where they get all their stuff through her. And Rhonda is she's a very aware person. She's really funny. I like her. She's just so cool. I just love her vibe. She's just so cool, and she's very ambitious, you know, about her job goals. And like I said earlier, she does end up getting with Cedric Daniels later in the show, which I love. And their relationship is just so cute. Like, their relationship is cute. It is loving. It is respectable. Like, they both respect each other. They go to each other for advice. It's so nice. I love Rhonda. She's really cool. Like, I think one of the biggest standouts in the show for me is like when she has to put her foot down to Jimmy, or, you know, when she realizes like the judge that Jimmy went to in the beginning of the show has a thing for her, so she used that to her advantage. I think that's so funny. I like when she gets, you know, when she has to get a little sneaky. She has to get a little sneaky, and she will let you know. And I think that's so funny, and I love that about her. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say. I just love her, and she ranks more than everyone else so far. I just like her. Plus, she is the only woman on my list, like top 10 list. So, but yeah, I love Rhonda. I love her. Number 4 is Michael Lee. Now, Michael Lee is the only kid on my list, my top 10 list. And Michael is pretty much the next Omar. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of saw this coming. I'm like not going to lie. And Michael Lee was introduced in season 4, which is probably my favorite season, only because it started with the whole coming of age angle, and I love that. That's my favorite movie genre. But basically, Michael Lee is kind of like the undisclosed leader of his friend group, which consists of 6 boys, and he is kind of a loner. He's a loner, but not at the same time. He is an individualist. He does a lot of things for himself. He has a drug addict mom and an abusive dad, and I mean sexual abusive dad. And he kind of avoids the game for so long, but then by the end of season 4, he kind of gets wrapped up into it because Chris, Marlowe's enforcer, I must say, kind of sees him and Marlowe see the potential of him, and they try to offer him a position, but he's like, I'm just going to try to go to school, do whatever. But then he realized he just has to fend for himself and his little brother Bug. So he goes out and he joins the Marlowe's organization and becomes pretty much one of the top third enforcer under Chris and Snoop. And over time, you can just tell that he is going to veer off from them, because at first he just didn't join them. And then when he did join them, he would ask a lot of questions. He's a very curious person. I wonder if he's an Aquarius. Anyway, though, he is a very curious person. So it's he wants to know why you're doing everything, because it's just to do things, just to do it is kind of dumb. And there's always has to be something behind it. And he starts to realize that some of the reasons that people are getting killed in the first place are stupid and dumb. And he's just what? And at one point, he even criticizes Marlowe. So basically, when Marlowe and his organization goes down, he thinks that, he's going to get killed by Snoop. So he gets Snoop instead and then goes on the run. And it's really interesting because, by the end of the season, he is literally robbing drug dealers like Omar. And it kind of makes sense because he, probably started out, he started out not in this organization, then in it. Then he has gone such away from it. He just needs to be on his own. He's just such an individualist. He just can't conform. And that's what I like about Michael. And he's really caring. He's really caring about his friends and his family. And that's what I really like about him. And I wish there was a 6th season or something, because I would love to see his journey. Number 3 is Omar Little. Now, Omar Little is the only openly LGBT character in this show, which is very interesting because this show started in 2002. And there wasn't a lot of LGBT content out there, especially in a cop show where most of the cast is black, set in Baltimore, and this dude is black. And then he's outwardly showing his pride. And honestly, I think that's why he ranks so high, in my opinion. Honestly, most LGBT characters, in my opinion, are the most complex, the more fulfilled, and the more interesting. And I think what I like about Omar Little is that he's already an outsider because he's robbing drug dealers, and he really does it just to fuck with them, and I love that. And like I said, he's a really caring guy. He's caring, he's sweet, he's gentle, he is smart. He is very intuitive. He is ambitious. He's driven. The way that these drug dealers operate, he needs them just as, he needs them because, they keep him on his game and they keep him fully aware of how to get them. And I like Omar a lot. He's so funny. He's so sneaky, and it's just so nice that literally if you see him walking down the street, the dip. And it's just so fun to watch. I just love outsiders. I love, people changing up the rules. He is the wild card in this whole system of the game. Even though he knows the game, but he intentionally messes with it, and I love it. It's chaotic energy. I love it. Maybe he's an Aquarius too. Number 2 is Bunk Freeland. Now, Bunk is probably the best, second best, detective in this whole series. He is very good at his job. He knows what to look for, knows what questions to ask, how to touch people's buttons and get what he wants without doing any crazy shit like Jimmy. And also he is funny, and like, yeah, he does get drunk a lot, but I just think that's just another funny aspect of his character. But he also knows when to put people in their place, you know, because he's just like, I'm doing cop work. This is what I'm doing. Leave me alone. And again, like, him and Jimmy's relationship is when it's good, like, you can tell it's really good. And he's just a really good component of the major crimes unit, of narcotics, of homicide. Like, he knows his stuff. I love the Bunk. And he's just so funny because he says fuck a lot. He's just like, motherfucker, fuck. And it's just so funny. And I just love the Bunk, and I love how I call him the Bunk. I like how his name is the Bunk. I don't even remember his first name, but he is a good cop. He is the definition of good police. And my number one favorite character is Lester Freamon. Now, Lester Freamon in season 1 was very unsuspecting. He would just sit there and do his little furniture. But then once the wire was getting hot, he was in it, and people realized, like, holy shit, this guy's actually a really good cop. And the reason why he got dumped on the Bonchon unit was because when he was an actually good cop, he got fucked for it. And time again, Lester Freamon is a genius of the wire. He literally knows how to break codes. He knows timelines. He knows who's talking, who's not talking, what they're talking about. He knows what's going on. And also, he kind of like trained Pryzbylewski before Pryzbylewski blew up his own life. But like, he literally was his mentor, and I love that. And Lester is kind of like that grandpa mentor because he's a little bit older than he's the oldest of everyone. So, and he's been there the longest. So he knows the system. He knows what's up. And you know, I just love him. And not only that, he is a sly man. Like, he is a sly man. I can just only imagine what Lester Freamon looked like in the 80s, because I would. He could catch his body. But besides that, Lester Freamon is another definition of good police. He's intuitive, he's smart, he is patient, he knows when to go, knows when to stop. He's amazing. He's my favorite character. He's so funny. I love when he like lets loose, because it's not really that often. So I really adore that. And I love how he also took Chardine under his wing, and they ended up being with her. So I thought that's cool. And he never lost interest of his tiny furniture, and I love that for him. Alright, so that is my top 10 characters of The Wire. Now, there are a whole bunch of characters that did miss the cut. So here are my honorable mentions. Bubbles, Wallace, Slim Charles, Prop Joe, Dookie, Namond, Randy, Weebay, Augustus, Sidnor, Kima, and Herc. Alright, thank you for watching this video. It was really fun to make, really quick to make. I just wanted to like signify something for myself for watching the show. I definitely do myself rewatching it. Maybe not in complete order, but maybe just like season 4, because season 4 is my favorite season. It's the best one. The storytelling is the greatest. It features these boys that I really loved. Bunny's great. But yes, that's the end of my video. If you like this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. If you like to see more of my content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of the Grape Gang. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.